Hello and welcome back to Baron's New Vegas Gun Guides. This is the final episode in the shotgun series with the most modern feeling and looking shotgun in the game, the Riot shotgun. Given its name and the information gleaned about the NCR Ranger armor from the Lonesome Road DLC, this gun might have been deployed in LA with the Riot gear. As for the history of semi-auto or rapid-fire shotguns, there was a lot in the Fallout games. The first one featured a burst-firing, possibly fully automatic combat shotgun, while the second one upped that by having prototype full-auto shotguns, which assumedly in the Fallout universe got full production. Those two being the CAWS, or Close Assault Weapon System, and the Pancor Jackhammer. Luckily for your ammo reserves, the Riot shotgun isn't full-auto, but instead it's just a magazine-fed semi-auto shotgun. It can be assumed that it was a firearm for the police, security forces, SWAT forces, and potentially the army before the war. And most of the surviving examples are actually probably replicas, most likely made by the gunrunners, and weaponsmiths back in the heart of the NCR. The origin of the semi-auto action is actually not very new, and semi-auto shotguns are used in hunting, in modernity, quite frequently, usually with an ammo limit. The first successful semi-auto shotgun is commonly attributed to Browning, again, with the Automatic 5, or Auto 5, which was patented in 1900 and hit catalogs in stores in 1902. It was popular with the US military, where it was in service up until the Vietnam War. It was produced by F. N. Herstall, as Winchester refused Browning's terms, and as for Remington, the president of Remington, for which Browning had a lot of business, suffered a heart attack as Browning was waiting to make contact. But the Auto 5 used an internal tube just like the hunting shotgun that we've looked at before. The real emergence of magazine-fed shotguns, as close as I've been able to tell, came in the 80s for the U.S. Close Assault Weapon System program, which is where the CAWS and Pancor were first initialized or designed. Several prototypes were submitted, but ultimately nothing really came from it except for those prototypes that would be seen in Fallout 2. After the failure of most of the prototypes submitted, the most straightforward method was to change the rifle frame of a common semi-automatic rifle or fully automatic rifle in the case of the military, and change it to handle and shoot shotgun shells. The most well-known of these guns is the Saiga 12, which is a shotgun hiding in the frame of an AK rifle, used extensively and seen in several video games, although it was developed on the other side of the Iron Curtain. The other commonly known mag-fed semi-full auto is the AA-12, which has almost 2 decades of development from its original design, which is nearly as common a sight in video games as the Saiga. But the Riot shotgun in New Vegas is not similar to any of these, and in fact has more in common with the Chinese Norinco Hawk semi-auto and a cut-down Remington 870. This does make some level of sense if the gun is supposed to be for tumultuous pre-war California and needs to have some compatibility with a Chinese combat shotgun system. Or perhaps it's none of this, and the Riot shotguns are actually modifications of all the Winchester city killers from before seen in Fallout 1. But enough about history lessons for semi-automatic shotguns, full-auto shotguns, mag-fed shotguns, and shotguns in Fallout. Let's get on to the damage. Now, it's a bit weaker than the hunting shotgun, at 67 damage per shot, which is both a strange number not ending in a 5 or a 0, and only 3 damage less than the hunting shotgun. Now, including the 20% damage increase, that's 80.4 damage per shot with standard shot shell. And if we also do the same calculation for the 7 projectiles, that's 9.6 damage base, or 11.5 per pellet with the 20% damage increase, which isn't far off from the hunting shotgun, really. Now, the fact that it has a semi-auto action, its rate of fire is actually important, and it has a rate of fire of 4, which gives it a DPS of 268 or 321.6 for standard rounds. Now, also due to having a magazine capacity of 12 and a full magazine reload time of 2.2 seconds, its sustained DPS is 155.6 or the 186.7 with the standard rounds. This is pretty close to double or triple the next highest shotgun, which is the hunting shotgun. The Riot shotgun also enjoys the cheapest VATS cost of any shotgun at only 17 AP, the same of all the standard semi-auto pistols. This low cost and high damage give it the highest efficiency of any shotgun at 3.94 damage per AP, beating out the unique Big Boomer sawed-off shotgun by 0.5 damage per AP. This is wonderful since I've always noticed that VAT seems to condense the pellets onto an enemy, because it takes the accuracy into account for every pellet, and you'll need it as the Riot shotgun does have a very high spread, at 2.5 with no mods to mitigate it. Due to this, it's hard to recommend them as stealth weapons, but for crits, they do have the standard ×1 crit multiplier, and due to having just over 9.5 damage per pellet base, they deal the full 10 crit damage per pellet, which puts them on nearly equal footing with the hunting shotgun. Now, while this all seems wonderful, there are some downsides. Chief among them is that they are pretty rare, usually having to be bought, and that is expensive at the base price of 5,500 caps, which is over double a lever-action shotgun and almost 50% more than a hunting shotgun. But unlike the hunting shotgun, there are no mods that inflate the price. While that is unfortunate for the spread, it's not a big deal as the gun on the whole is a big upgrade compared to almost every other shotgun. The next biggest hurdle you'll encounter is its gun skill requirement and its strength requirement, which at 107 respectively make it inaccessible to some builds, although weapon handling and power armor can definitely help. As for the weight, unlike the large rifles and heavy weapons, it's actually pretty light at only 5 weight units, or 5 pounds. It should be noted that its jury-rigging repair table includes some mostly expensive weapons, with the only cheap option being the service rifle, so a Legion player will get more repair guns than an NCR player, unless you play both sides. But it shouldn't be a big deal as the Riot shotgun is the third most durable shotgun, being right behind the sturdy Caravan shotgun and the hunting shotgun, as it can shoot 870 standard rounds and 756 magnum rounds. Now for those rounds, the standard ammo is 2 caps per round, with 7 projectiles and 20% extra base damage. This is followed by the Magnum shotgun shell with the same number of projectiles and 1.3 times the damage, -2 damage threshold, and 50% more wear, all for the 3 caps per round. Then there's the beanbag rounds for 3 caps as well, but they only do 5% damage, with the trade-off of doing 50 fatigue damage even to robots. And you gotta remember that the tooltip does lie about the 150 fatigue damage, although knocking out robots in 2 shots is pretty good. These rounds do fit the concept of Riot control, but the Riot shotgun was probably used for lethal Riot suppression, unfortunately. Now the slugs are single shot, but only 1 times damage. But the benefit is that it's 35% of the spread, which are great in the hunting shotgun, but you do lose out on crit damage, and are 3 caps. In the Riot shotgun, they can be a brutally effective type of ammo. Finally, there's the coin shot, which is exactly like the Magnum ammo, except your gun is one the same as standard shots, and it fires 8 projectiles, which have the chance to be recoverable later, because it uses Legion coins. It has a chance of leaving both mangled and fully recoverable coins in its target. Valued at 40 caps and only craftable without mods, it's expensive but a good trade commodity. Again, good for Legion characters, and slightly good for the bloodthirsty NCR gunman who encounters a lot more Legion denarius. Now, sadly, there are no uniques for the Riot shotgun, but it already packs enough punch to not really need one, but having uniques is always fun. Now, as for acquisition, through killing fiends near McCarran on higher levels, they may carry some very broken ones. As was pointed out in a comment in the last video, the one of 2 Riot shotguns for low-level players is always carried by an Omerta thug guarding the vault in Gamora. The only other free one is deep in Vault 34, in very poor condition, and is almost completely outside the grips of level 1 players due to the amount of enemies there. Now, Great Khans will show up with some if recruited for the second battle for Hoover Dam. Same with some of the NCR troopers in that battle. Veteran Rangers and Hoover Dam troopers in the visiting center can carry them at levels that are higher around 20. Knight Torres in Hidden Valley sells them in various levels of repair, but for the perfectly made one straight out of the box, you have to go to the Vendatron, who will sell them in a great condition after level 16. Now, due to the lack of spawns and high-level requirements, this gun is definitely a mid to late game investment. But with Stayback and Shotgun Surgeon, it carves through the wasteland like a deathclaw through leather.